The ocean is a large, mysterious, scary thing. Many horror stories and supernatural sightings come from tales of the deep, such as sightings of a large, tentacle monster called the Kraken, or warnings of beautiful, serenading mermaids that pull sailors to the depths to be eaten alive. Whether or not these legends are real stories or just the drunken recollections of fatigued sailors, their impact can be felt in the hearts of every person who dares to sail into unknown waters. One of these brave souls is none other than Link from the Wind Waker. To no surprise, the Zelda universe has its own fair share of supernatural legends and superstitions, but in the Wind Waker, which mainly features a large, untamed ocean, some of these stories have come true. At one point in Link's adventure, the courageous hero is tasked with finding the pieces of the Triforce of Courage which have been scattered throughout Hyrule after the Hero of Time departed from the land. These pieces can be found by deciphering charts that depict their locations, buried in chests at the bottom of the sea. But one of these Triforce charts is held in a chilling location. Legend has it that on nights when the moon is present, an eerie green storm will take the skies, and a solemn, haunting tune can be heard wailing across the waves, coming from a ship with tattered sails, sailing without a single living soul aboard. Those who are unfortunate enough to see this cursed vessel refer to it as the Ghost Ship. Truly one of the most terrifying pieces of Zelda lore. But a ship with such importance to the hero's journey and the will of the goddesses must have some prior significance which is hidden to us in present time. So without further ado, follow me as we dive deep into the mysteries underneath the Ghost Ship. Not much is revealed openly about this ship in-game, but what we are able to find out is downright terrifying. The Ghost Ship will appear every night in a different location across the Great Sea depending on the lunar cycle of the moon. However, to approach the ship without it disappearing from sight once you get near it, one must have in their possession the Ghost Ship Chart. This is a mysterious chart that seems to hold some magical self-awareness, enabling it to indicate exactly what step the moon is on in its cycle, and therefore where the Ghost Ship is sailing upon that night. Once Link has obtained the Ghost Ship Chart, the ship will no longer disappear upon approaching it and can successfully be boarded. Well, if you call being warped into its interior boarding. According to the eccentric adventurer photographer man named Lenzo, who has successfully taken a picture of the ghost ship and survived to tell the tale. The chart was made by an unknown man who, quote, researched the reaches of the sea where the ghost ship faded in and out of sight, and that he drew a map of his movements. But it is said that as soon as the man had finished drawing the lines of that cursed map, he died a most unexpected death. Whether it was the curse of the ghost ship that doomed him to an early grave or some other unfortunate means, it is heavily implied to be the former of the two. Furthermore, the chart is found in a chest underneath the Diamond Step Island in a hidden ship graveyard that forms a complex maze. Once the chart is obtained, the next step is for Link to track it down and climb aboard. When the seas turn a sickly green and it begins to storm, you know the ship is nearby. There are a few important things to note about its appearance. Firstly, the ship bears very strong resemblances to Tetra's pirate ship. In fact, they're almost exactly alike. The colorations are different though, with Tetra's featuring brighter red colors and the ghost ship more of a faded mossy green palette. Both ships feature artwork on the head of the ship which do differ as well, with Tetra's featuring the head of a serpent or dragon and the ghost ships featuring what appears to be an outward-reaching praying woman. The ship is also covered by what appears to be flying blue flames, which have been indicated in other Zelda games such as Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild, and Twilight Princess to be what spirits look like. Once inside, the interior is rather plain and resembles that of a submarine from other portions of the Great Sea, but there are a few more details in its interior that are rather peculiar. Along the right wall, there's a beam of light that is seeping in through a crack somewhere, and where it shines, a lone white flower is blooming. The floor is lined with a ghastly mist and the ceiling is cracked open, permitting you to see ghostly spirits surrounding the chamber you're in, indicating this is some different plane of existence from where you are physically in the Great Sea. Hanging just above the treasure chest, which is accessible after defeating the monsters within the ship, a strange portrait of a face is present. This face emits a demonic, terrifying grin that disappears into an expressionless face when Link walks closer. And finally, the chest holds a Triforce chart, which reveals the location of one of the 8 shards of the Triforce of Courage. In the HD remake, it has been replaced with just straight up a shard of the Triforce of Courage. After Link picks up the treasure, a sudden painful sounding yell is heard and Link's consciousness fades to black. When he wakes up, he's aboard the King of Red Lions and the ghost ship is never to be seen or heard of again. Okay, now that we're all on the same page with the ship, let's start piecing together what all this madness could mean. The entire purpose of the vessel is to guard one of the shards of the Triforce of Courage, as indicated by what's in its treasure chest and the fact that it no longer haunts the seas once Link obtains said treasure. The Triforce, as mentioned before, was shattered into 8 pieces once the Hero of Time left Hyrule. It's believed that the Triforce was shattered to hide it away. This seems to indicate that the ship and its crew were commissioned by the goddesses to guard the shard of the Triforce from those who would seek it for evil, such as Ganondorf. It's possible that the ship is actually an evil entity who is keeping the shard from Link in order to serve Ganon, but that doesn't make too much sense since Ganondorf actually wants all pieces of the Triforce for himself, and if it were a haunted vessel by his doing, he would simply take the shard for himself by this point. But would the goddesses really command a vessel to be haunted for all eternity and even release monsters inside it to guard the Triforce shard? Well, to be honest, this is the same game that revealed the goddesses in their benevolence to have literally flooded the entire world in efforts to kill Ganondorf, meaning they are no strangers to taking drastic, sometimes tragic measures for the greater good. So, drafting a ship into eternal service seems pretty plausible as well. We also see from other Zelda titles that serving the goddesses after death is rather common, especially among the Sheikah clan. But even if the ghost ship was made by the goddesses for righteous purposes, who were the poor souls made to service the goddesses for all eternity? And why did the man charting the ship's locations die unexpectedly? And whose spirits are these that we can see floating around the vessel? Well, as far as those floating spirits go, they are actually the spirits of dead seagulls that have been tied to the ship. Seagulls are shown in-game to fly around Tetra's ship and even the tiny King of Red Lions, and these unfortunate birds were bound for all eternity to haunt the seas alongside the ghost ship. But the ship was once manned by a crew, that much is certain. Although, I believe the answer to who those individuals were may not be what you're expecting. Let's recap our clues so far. The ghost ship resembles Tetra's ship very closely in both build and design, as well as every other ship in the graveyard we see underneath Diamond Step Island. These ruined ships are further tied to the ghost ship due to the fact that they house the ghost ship chart. These and Tetra's ship are the only vessels in the entire game that resemble one another, and they do so with almost suspicious accuracy. Tetra's ship has been in her family bloodline for at least 2 generations, since we know that before her leadership it was her mother who was captain. Tetra is later revealed to be Zelda, spoiler warning, I guess, and we can see a portrait of the Hero of Time in her chambers inside the ship, who was only depicted one other time in the submerged Hyrule Castle, leading to the next logical question of why and how she would have this picture at all. Considering her royal history and this strangely added image of the ancient Hero of Time, could it be that Tetra's ship is actually from old Hyrule? What if all those ships resembling Tetra's pirate ship are actually from the old Hylian fleet that rose to the surface under the goddess's protection when Hyrule was flooded long ago, and that is when the Princess Zelda of that time, be it Tetra's mother or grandmother or whoever, in order to save her own bloodline, became a pirate alongside the ancestors of her current pirate crew? Relating this back to the ghost ship, it could be just one of the other ships in the fleet that had then been given the task of roaming the seas for all eternity, protecting the shard of the Triforce, with the souls of the entire remaining Hylian sailors bound to the vessel, explaining the rather large number of ghostly apparitions that can be seen along the floors and ceiling inside the ship. The goddesses then took the remaining ships from the fleet and hid them away in a large ship's graveyard maze hiding the ghost ship chart. As far as why the man from Lenzo's legend who drew the chart died unexpectedly, for all we know, this could just be a frightening legend, since it's unlikely a mere mortal man could create the chart with its magical properties in the first place. With the ship's origins, crew, and curse explained, I think that wraps up this mystery pretty well. But what do you think? Does the ghost ship have another origin? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, it's been a blast working on this theory, and it was of course exciting to get to share it with you. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already for much more Zelda and Nintendo content to come. Huge thank you to my amazing patrons, of which I have 2 new additions. Welcome to Thomas McClure and Amanda Mulso. You guys are amazing, and I'm so honored to have you in my videos. If you're interested in getting your name up here at the end of all my videos, follow the link in the description below to find out how. Also down there are links to my Twitter and Discord and, you know, other places to get in touch with me directly, so be sure to check that out too. That's all I've got for you today, so as always, I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day. This is MaskedNintendoBandit signing out. Peace!